Getting counseling therapy from professionals is still considered a stigma. People with mental health problems can also experience discrimination and negative treatments in all aspects of their lives. This stigma and discrimination makes many people problems worse. Mental health remains a taboo in Asia. Poor mental health affects nearly everyone at some point in their lives. A common reason why mental health can be a taboo subject is a fear of appearing weak and vulnerable in front of others. The Inner Link, TIL, is a queer-friendly, queer-accepting, and client-affirming organization. We are governed by the Malaysian Board of Counselor, LKM. We are also certified fitness practitioners, certified yoga instructor, sound and healing therapist, music therapist and art therapist offering psychological services such as mental health counseling for individual, couple and group counseling, psychiatric care, psychological assessments, child counseling and development, career development, employee care and workshops and wellness services like yoga, sound therapy, music therapy, fitness classes and art therapy for those experiencing mental illness and people who are undergoing life stressors. We help people to achieve a stable mental health and mental wellness and live the best life. Our fitness trainers help your body to be healthy, and brain health experts cleanse your thoughts. Fight back, take the negative thoughts captive and replace them with life truths and reality. Reach out to us, visit our website today. theinnerlink.com, email us for more information or meet us personally or office during opening hours and enjoy our extraordinary and specialized services. It's never too late to enjoy a healthy life. Let us help you take care of your mental health and wellness. Getting counseling therapy from professionals is still considered a stigma. People with mental health problems can also experience discrimination and negative treatments in all aspects of their lives. This stigma and discrimination makes many people problems worse. Mental health remains a taboo in Asia. Poor mental health affects nearly everyone at some point in their lives. A common reason why mental health can be a taboo subject is a fear of appearing weak and vulnerable in front of others. The Inner Link, TIL, is a queer-friendly, queer-accepting, and client-affirming organization. We are governed by the Malaysian Board of Counselor, LKM. We are also certified fitness practitioners, certified yoga instructor, sound and healing therapist, music therapist and art therapist offering psychological services such as mental health counseling for individual, couple and group counseling, psychiatric care, psychological assessments, child counseling and development, career development, employee care and workshops and wellness services like yoga, sound therapy, music therapy, fitness classes and art therapy for those experiencing mental illness and people who are undergoing life stressors. We help people to achieve a stable mental health and mental wellness and live the best life. Our fitness trainers help your body to be healthy, and brain health experts cleanse your thoughts. Fight back, take the negative thoughts captive and replace them with life truths and reality. Reach out to us, visit our website today. theinnerlink.com, email us for more information or meet us personally or office during opening hours and enjoy our extraordinary and specialized services. It's never too late to enjoy a healthy life. Let us help you take care of your mental health and wellness.
Hi,
Hello.
hello everyone. I hope you are all are doing well. So my name is Cindy. I'm from the Inner Lane and I will be your moderator for our discussion today. So before we start, maybe we can start to introduce about the Inner Lane first. So the Inner Lane is a career-friendly, client-accepting and affirming organization comprised of licensed mental health and mental wellness professionals and still believe in taking a holistic approach towards our clients' health. So we offer psychological and wellness services for those experiencing mental illness and people who are undergoing life stressors. So we hope to help people to achieve a state of mental health and mental wellness and lead their best life. So, today we would like to have a discussion on the topic of women's health and fitness. So, I believe that the best investment we can ever make is invest on our own health. So, however, health and well-being are more than just physical. Our well-being is more about our whole individual and not just our physical mental status. So, today we will look into the various aspects of well-being, including the physical health, mental health, and also sexual health. So bringing together these three main aspects of well-being is important to support the provisions of our mind and body care. So the purpose of this discussion is to promote the physical, mental, and sexual awareness for women. So to begin this program, we are pleased to have Wisi, a fitness trainer, Wani, a junior clinical psychologist from the Inner Lane, and Vishnu, a licensed and registered counselor from My Confidential Association of Private Counselors. So, for today's discussion, we will talk about women's physical, mental, and sexual health, the importance of our health, and how we can set goal to take care of our health, and the ways to take care of these three aspects of our health. So if you have any questions, please feel free to dump them down in the chat box because we will have a Q&A session after this. So the first topic of our this discussion will be about what is physical, mental, and sexual health, and what is the importance of these three aspects of health. So first of all, I would like to invite our fitness trainer, Lucy, to share about how do you define physical health and how does the physical exercise can help to improve our physical health?
Hi.
Hi,
Hi
Lucy.
everyone. Yeah. Physical health in terms of fitness, defined as physically fit and healthy, meaning, in simple words, meaning that you are able to perform your daily life routine easy and without pain. For
Mm,
my own interpretations, physical health is you are open to any type of exercise
mm-hmm,
and you can stick to it and make the improvement progressively based on your stamina and body conditions.
mm,
And the benefit of exercise is you are able to improve and strengthen your muscle strength
mm-hmm,
and your connective tissue and tendons. So throughout this training, the strength training, you also will reduce the risk of injury. Based on
mm,
you able to perform the exercise in a proper way, not just simply carry the heavy weight. Okay.
mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I
Thank you.
believe that yeah, from Lucy you will share about like fitness is not just about we need to know our body stamina first because before we go through the exercise, also like to take care of the safety of ourselves, right?
Yes.
So, okay. So thank you very much for Rizzy for the sharing. And maybe now we can help is more about more than physical. So maybe we can now we can more focus on mental health first. So maybe we can invite Wenyi to share about what is mental health and why do we women need to pay attention to their mental health.
Hi, thank you, and hi everyone. So, basically, I would say mental health is definitely how our psychological well-being is like.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't only look into like only the psychological aspects, but also look into a lot of different factors that affect how we actually view our own mental health as well. So
Mm-hmm.
psychological, social factors, and even biological factors can also affect our own perception of our mental health. Right. And I feel like for women, it's also very important to pay attention to our own mental health because I always view taking care of our own mental health as a way of empowering ourselves. So as women, it's also very important to know that empowering ourselves is something very important, because it gives ourselves the idea that I can take care of my own mental health. I can take care of my own health. I'm responsible for my own mental health and my health as well. So it's something that's very important. The kind of message that we give ourselves, because there are a lot of different kind of differences, significant differences in the statistics, where between men and women, like different disorders, the how frequent it happens, what's the probability, what's the stats like, and also for some very specific disorders which can only happen to women. For example, when it comes to like premenstrual dysphoric disorder, which happens when women are going through their menses and before their menses come, so the so-called PMS that we all have heard of, and sometimes even like perinatal depression as well. So when women are going through their pregnancy or after their pregnancy. So that's why it's very important for women to also understand what are these kind of differences and how we can take care of our very own mental health.
Okay, I'm very agree with Winnie because like as we are women, we have go through a lot of stressors in our own life. So it's very important for us like to take care of our mental health, physical health, and sexual health, so that like maybe we can have a good life and also make sure that we can cope with this life stressors as well. So maybe next we can hear more about the sexual health. So maybe Vishnu can share about us like what does men's sexual health means to you and why is important for women to take care of their sexual health.
Right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you to the Inner Link for giving me this opportunity. I think this is a wonderful topic to talk on, right? And I'm really, really proud and glad to be sharing space with the other experts in the field as well. Sexual health. Um, it's great that you asked me last, because technically sexual health does embody the other two aspects of physical and mental health as well, right? Although the common thought is sexual health is about just sexual activities or sexual orientation or just about sexual infections, it's not only about that, right? When you talk about sexual health, it usually encompasses everything that is physical, mental, social, right? So, in today's context, if you're talking about a woman, right, what sexual health means to me is that when a woman has a healthy sense of self esteem, right, and a healthy sense of her own personal attractiveness and competence in sexuality, right? And why would I say sexual health is important? Um, when you talk about sexual health, like I said, it really talks about health in every way, right? Biologically, psychologically, and socially. And being healthy in all those areas really helps us because it does govern the way we make decisions and the way we're able to relate to other people. And these are things that we have to go through every day in life, right? For a woman, there are many different areas in life. For someone who's married, you have the additional job of being a nurturer at home, considering conventional societal rules. So when you factor in a lot of different roles that a woman has to play, all these health aspects really does help her make her decisions, and be able to go through life healthily. So that's my take on sexual health and why it's important.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's like I think a lot of women now is they like maybe are quite embrace in talk about sexual health because like maybe the things about like this topic is quite maybe like it's not a good way like is they maybe don't know how to like ask these questions in the public and even to the professionals because they are too embraced about it. But I think it's very important for all of us as a woman to ask about this to take care of our own sexual health because it's is part of our health. Yeah. So maybe for next topic, we can discuss about what are the goals that we can have to take care our health in these three aspects. So for example, for fitness and also the physical health. So how can we set our goals, weight loss goals, and how much physical activities that we can do to reach our fitness goal? Maybe we see can share about us with this.
First is easy to start slow and
Mhm.
achievable. So if let's say you set your goal is too high, right? once you didn't achieve, you'll feel like sad and down. You feel like easily give up. So set your goal smart. What is meant by smart? Meaning that specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and within the time bound. Okay. For example, your current goal is to lose body fat, like from 50% to 40%, and your current body weight is about like 100 kg, and you do have knee pain. So your doctor advised to work out, give permissions to work out, and then so in order to reduce your body weight. Okay. So in an ideal goal setting, you're able to lose about 10% of body fat within like 3 to 5 months. Yeah, with consistent workout and diet control. Okay. So try to avoid like any exercise like sprinting, jumping, or crunching. Those exercises can create more tensions to your knee. Yeah, don't just simply like based on the YouTube. Okay, I just want to lose weight, so simply follow any type of workout. Okay. So another thing I always tell to my client, don't expect the result like 1 hour of training for a day or just maybe 2 times training for a week. So actually it's very depends on how your daily life routines and your activity level and how your diet's going through. So don't be potato coach. Just spend about like 30 minutes to 1 hour just for a walk. Mm. It will burn at least like 100 to 400 calories based on the watch count. But by the way, this is just a number. Most important that you enjoy the exercise and you can stick to it and you can do it for the long term. This is the only way you can get your result physically fit and healthy.
Okay, thank you for sharing because I know that like a lot of people when they are setting their fitness goals, they might like set unrealistic goals. Like I want to lose 10 kg in 1 month. It's quite unrealistic. So it's very important that we should share with us that we need to set a smart goals, which is very measurable that we can achieve within a specific time frame. So it's very advisable for all of us to seek for a professional help, like a fitness trainer, to advise us like what we can do in like this time being, or maybe like 2 or 3 months, and what exercise is suitable for us. Because we need to according to everybody's way to have a good plan for our physical exercise, right? Yeah, so thank you
Yes.
for which is sharing about that. So maybe next we can more focus on the mental health goals. So we can ask about we need like what are the mental health goals that every woman should have to take care to, and how they can achieve their mental health goals in terms of taking care of their mental health and also the well-being.
Right, thank you. Right, so I feel like definitely when we talk about mental health goals, it can be very, very different for every person at every different point of time in their lives. So for example, like, you know, for women, maybe some people, their values are different, their priorities are different. So maybe at this point of time, maybe what I want to be is more career oriented. So maybe my mental health goals would also be somewhere revolving around this part as well. So it's kind of like also like, you know, associated with what my values and priorities are at the different time being of my life. Then maybe, you know, 10 years down the road, maybe I have a whole different value or direction in life. Maybe I want to focus more on my family or things like that. So probably my mental health goals would also revolve around that. But I feel like there are also few basic ones that we should always keep in mind as well. And the first one I think definitely is learning how to love ourselves. So one thing is always because whenever we think of like I think like the traditional concepts that we have in our mind is like, you know, loving means like, okay, a man and a woman. Yeah, so that's a very traditional one that we are actually we're fed with, the traditional idea that we are fed with. But and as I see like, you know, more and more clients, I feel that especially when we start growing and everything, it's also very important to learn how to love ourselves, because if we are not able to give ourselves that love, it's very difficult for us to actually give that love to others as well. Yeah, so if we don't know how to appreciate ourselves, it's also very difficult to appreciate others. And if we don't understand what is our own definition of love for ourselves, it's very difficult to seek that love outside as well, because you are not sure with what's your own definition of love. Yep, so definitely that's one. I think also eventually making time for yourself is also a way of loving yourself. So oftentimes we tend to feel like, okay, mental health means I need to rely on someone else for my happiness or things like that. But actually, I feel like, the major part is actually on ourselves as well. So how do we want to also make time for ourselves? How do we want to learn to be fine and learn to be happy just by spending time with ourselves? So for example, just, for example, once in a week, you just want to for example, take up a dance class on your own, and then spend like 1-2 hours dancing, and that you can feel okay, sorry, I saw like my mic was muted for a while. All right, yeah. So just learning how to spend time enjoying, doing things that you enjoy for yourself, without having to think like, oh, if I want to go for a dance class, I must find a kaki to accompany me, or like I must have a friend to accompany me. Otherwise, I won't feel happy. So I think that is something that is very important, because the more we rely on like others, the kind of message that we are sending ourselves is like, I can only be happy by depending on others. Yeah, so the more we learn how to make time for ourselves, the more we're telling ourselves that I can rely on myself to give myself that happiness and to make my mental health a healthy one. Yep. And I think definitely the last one is setting boundaries. Yep. So learning how to set boundaries for yourself. For example, like, be it in every aspects of our lives, there are a lot of boundaries for us to set. And when we say set boundaries, it's not about like making other people happy, but it's like making sure we are aware of our own limits. So for example, it could be physical boundaries, like, as detailed as like, oh, I'm not fine with people shaking my hands way too long. Yeah, maybe that is a physical boundary that you have for yourself. So like, a light shake is fine for me, but not like shake so long, or like, hold my hands for too long. Yeah. So these kind of physical boundaries. And then maybe emotional boundaries. So I wouldn't allow people to call me things like, stupid or silly, and if people do call me that, I wouldn't allow that to affect me way too personally. So that is also a kind of like emotional boundaries. So I feel like the more we are more going into all these kind of detailed boundaries we have for ourselves, the more we actually understand what are our limits and how we want to set that very straight up, so that we know that other people are also aware of that, and they wouldn't violate our boundaries and make us feel like, unworthy, make us feel like, our mental health is deeply affected by what others' actions and behaviors are. So I think it would be these few main basic ones which are really, really important for us to take note of.
Thank you for sharing from Wenyi. So based on that, I noticed that we need to focus on three aspects, which is one is love yourself, making time for yourself, and also set boundaries. I think these three aspects is very important for all of us to take care of our mental health, and setting our mental health goals is when we are going through a lot of stress in our life. We can try to use these three things to take care of our mental health, and also try to be happy. Yeah, that is the most simplest. Yeah. So maybe next we can talk about the sexual health. So the sexual health might be like how women can set a goal to take care of a sexual health, and how can they achieve the goals, because like I think a lot of women have confused about this, like how we really can take care of our in terms of our sexual health, because maybe they're not well informed if the information about the women's sexual health. So maybe Vishnu can share with us with that. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Um, I think I think it's really important for women first to be aware, right, of what sexual health is to them, right? Again, same like mental health and physical health, every individual is different, and everybody have different values and principles, different likes and dislikes. So I think the first goal that we should take across the board is to know what we like, is to know what we don't like, it's to know what we know, what we don't know, right? There are a lot of credible sites out there that you can get information from these days. There are a lot of professionals out there to help, right? I understand that sexual health can still be considered something that is not to be spoken in the open, something that is to be behind closed doors, we're shy to talk about it. Sometimes we're embarrassed to talk about it, right? And however, if you look at it, it's important for a female at any age, right from someone who has just attended age, learning what are these feelings going on inside of me, why do I feel differently for someone versus before, or to know what changes my body is going through, right? As versus to someone who is maybe a bit more older, who has undergone something life changing, maybe physically, maybe pregnancy, or some sort of a mental disorder, or some sort of a physical illness. Your sexual health changes every time, because like I said earlier, sexual health is not only about sexual activities, right? It's about the way you think about your sexuality. So everything changes dependent on your environmental factors. So the first goal that women should have in terms of sexual health is to learn, seek information, be aware of what encompasses sexual health, right? If you want to talk about the bare bones, we're talking about gender identity, we're talking about sexual orientation, right? We're talking about your sexual preferences. Doesn't matter who you're interested in or what you're interested in. You have first to know what you're interested in, right? You need to know that first. Second, I will say the goal is to be comfortable. There are so many ideologies today. You want to look at societal ideologies, you want to look at psychological ideologies, you want to look at biological ideologies. If you look at each professional from these areas, they will have different philosophies on what sexual health should be, right? So going through all of this, you will have to find what resonates with you. And once you find that, right, you have to be comfortable with it, right? And the third, I will say, to be confident. Being comfortable is a very internal process. Confidence is something that can be internal, but it translates very much external as well, right? I believe Winnie also mentioned it. So social, right? Society. We live among people. And when you talk about physical health, emotional health, mental health, we talk about sexual health, it does interact with everybody around you, because everybody has different ideologies about what you should live life like, right? So being confident in your own skin, being confident in what you like, that would be, one of the things like high up there to achieve when it comes to sexual health, right? And how can you achieve these goals? It's quite simple, right? First, knowledge. Find out what are things around you, right? There are many different avenues. There are some parents who are very open, they give you all sorts of information. Schools, as I understand these days, are also becoming more and more open, right? And I think if you don't have those resources, go online, click the nearest professional to me. We are all available, right? All you have to do is just find someone who can talk to you, who can explain to you what to expect. Second, how can you achieve your goals is by setting boundaries, right? Once you know what you want, once you have an idea of it, then you're able to um, I wouldn't want to say rules, but you want to put up this space so that you feel safe, right? And when you create this space, it sort of influences how you interact with people. Now, sexual health, there's a huge topic under it, which is sexual safety, right? We don't have enough time to cover it, but if I want to touch on it, boundaries really help with sexual safety, right? For women to feel safe, to be able to explore her sexuality, to be able to engage in safe sexual activities, you will need to be very conscious about the decisions that you make, right? So, conscious decision making is also another way to achieve a comfortable and confident sexual health persona, right?
Thank you for sharing. So, based on what Vishnu said, we know that when women want to take care of their setting goal for their own sexual health, first is be aware, be comfortable, and also be confident. Most of us can get a lot of resources about the sexual health through online, or even you can see professionals to help you to a normal knowledge about this, and also we need to be comfortable and also be confident of ourselves. I think it's like most of the women might have a low self-esteem, but it's okay, and we need to like help to build out our own confidence, and build confidence of ourselves is also a good way to help us. So that is how we can achieve this goal. Is about facing the knowledge and also setting the boundaries. So I think for every woman, we need to know what is safe for us, what is not safe for us. It's very important for us to setting boundaries when we have maybe a relationship with others. Yeah, it's very important. Yeah, thank you for sharing, Vishnu. So maybe next topic we can talk about how we can take care of our health. So yeah, there are three, because we are discussing three aspects of health today. So maybe first we can more focus on physical health. So maybe we can ask we see about what are the things that we can do other than the exercise to maintain our own physical health, and what are the strategies you would suggest for us to stay motivated to keep on exercise. Yeah.
To answer your questions, other than exercise, we recommend client to control their diet, because you just like based on exercise without control your diet, you won't see the result. Mm. So basically, we will recommend clients to choose more on nutrition-based food and limit the processed food. Yeah. So we often heard that 70-30% rule, right? Meaning that 70% control your diet, 30% is based on exercise. I can say that I partially agree this statement, because other than this, we also have to increase our non-activity level, like walking, doing some house chore. Actually, this one is play a lot of like important roles to reduce the weight. Mm. And then other than that, I think is also very important. Don't compare ourselves with others, because you have to know your own like your own beauty, your own current capable. Don't just compare you and with the YouTube like a very nice body shape. Maybe for them it take about like few years to achieve that kind of body shape, but for you, maybe you are just a baby for, I mean, like in terms of fitness. So try not to compare yourself with others. So know your current status and slowly plan like smart goal. Know your current weakness, where to improve. Yeah. And then the last one also, you can bring your spouse together or your family member or your friends to work out together, so they can motivate you, uh, rather than become your obstacle, because they will like ask you like, let's go for like having a fast food, not to exercise. So if let's say you bring them to work out together, so they will become your supporter, uh, rather than become your obstacle. Mm. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. So I believe that like every woman, like first is about the nutrition, right? So like it's very important that we need to control our diet. We need to have a balanced diet. I think every time we are mentioned about the balanced diet, but what is balanced diet? So maybe we should can share more about like what is a balanced diet with us.
Yeah, we heard about more like a keto diet or a high protein diet. Actually, right? Actually, diet is just for short term. It's most important like how you adapt this diet into your lifestyle. Your maybe your family diet. Normally your family cooking for you, right? You have to know, is this the protein? Is this the carbs? So you can, you know your portion, so you can go anywhere. You can like pick the most I mean like healthy a bit, like grilled chicken rather than like a deep fried chicken, those things. Yeah.
So
Mm.
yeah, so I think it's like we need to know the calories, the intake that we have to in terms of like to help us to control our balanced diet. Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, besides that, I think we should also mention about the body shapes and don't compare ourselves with others. So I like the quotes that say that every woman is beautiful in her own way. So we don't need to compare ourselves with others with like, oh, she is more beautiful because she has a nice body shape. We are beautiful in our own way. So we but we still need to make sure we are healthy in way, but we don't compare our body shape with others, because everyone have different diet, different maybe like biological is different. So don't compare us with others, and be confident in yourself. So maybe next we can talk about the woman's health, like how we can take care of our mental health. So it's like we can ask Wenyi, like what are the some recommendations that we will give to women out there, so they can have a look of the mental health well-being in their daily life.
Okay, thank you. So I think like what Weishi mentioned just now also. So one important thing about mental health is that we tend to neglect that actually our diet and our lifestyle can also make a very huge impact on our mental health as well. So having like really healthy diets, just like getting enough sleep, good quality sleep are also like the basic things that are very important to safeguard our mental health. So although we always think like, oh, being mental health is only about like, oh, how we want to make ourselves happy and all that, but actually it also boils down to all these small little details of like, okay, getting enough sleep, getting good quality sleep, making sure that we are active. We don't just, like what she mentioned, if you want to be like a couch potato and all that, then that would be very difficult also. So when we start to not get active as well, we might also tend to be like very tired easily. We might get fatigue and all that. So which also affects our whole mental health in general. So I think that is one thing that we like what we should mention. And also like what Vishnu mentioned just now as well. So it's very important for the knowledge part to happen as well. So just by understanding yourself, what is your definition of mental health, sexual safety, like what Vishnu mentioned earlier on as well. So understanding all these small details about ourselves. So getting to know ourselves better so that we know what are our values, what are our priorities in life that we want to actually live upon. So I would say like usually when we look into exploring our own self-identities and our own values, it's very helpful because it's kind of like an SOP for ourselves. Yeah, so like a guideline for ourselves, so that we know when we want to make certain decisions in life, we want to know like what are some of the things that govern our own decision making process, and we can't expect others to answer that for us. So the helpful way is to understand what are our own values, own identities, and to explore what is our own direction that we want to look forward to. Then we will know very much that we are very empowered by being able to make our very own decisions. So I think that is also very important. Otherwise, I would feel like really staying connected, having your own support is also very important. So knowing who are the people that you can really have social support. And sometimes I would also share this with clients where it doesn't always have to be your family, especially some people, they don't have like very healthy relationships with their family, so you don't want to end up forcing yourself like, oh, because I need to tell my family members, and then you don't get the support that you are getting. So it doesn't always have to be that, but you can always identify who are the people around you that you can trust your secrets, you can trust your issues, your difficulties, and your struggles with. So being able to identify these people are also like, very helpful and strong resources for yourself. So you know who to go to when you need someone's support. And if you also need like professional help, then like what we mentioned earlier. So just Google, like, for example, counselors around me, like clinical psychologists around me, therapists around me, fitness trainers and all that around me. So Google is very powerful, where you can get all this kind of information and navigate around where do you want to get professional support when you need that. Let me think what else. I think so far that are like the few basic recommendations that I would say. Definitely more about like getting to know ourselves more. Be it looking at every different aspects of our own selves and doing more reflections for ourselves. That would be really, really helpful.
Okay, thank you so much to Wenyi for the interesting sharing. So based on that, we know that like when we want to take care of our mental health, we need to have a good quality of sleep. We need to know our own values, and we also have a good support group. I think it's like we need to connect with around with people who can bring positive energy to us. So it can like take care of our mental health as well. So maybe your friends is also one of the source, your families, or even like you can get the professional help is a way to help us to take care of our mental health. So next, maybe we can talk about the sexual health. So I would like to ask Vishnu, so how can we maintain our sexual well-being and what advice do you have for us to maintain our sexual health?
Okay. A big aspect of sexual health will be, of course, the physical aspect of it, right? Um, the best way to maintain that would be frequent checkups, right? If you are sexually active and if you have more than one sexual partner, then it is advisable to do frequent medical checkups, right? There are many clinics available for that. There are many women centered clinics. There are many sexual health oriented clinics that you can approach, right? Usually, the rule of thumb is once every 3 to 6 months, depending on how active your lifestyle is, right? And of course, to practice um, as much safe sexual activities that you can. There are many options out there again, right? For women, it's sexual health does not only is not only restricted to STIs, right? It also involves pregnancy as well. Yeah, so there are many options, there are many resources out there for birth control, for sexual health control as well, right? Look into these options, and you can get this information again online clinics, right? It has, I think, in the last decade, maybe even in Malaysia, I can say it is becoming more and more prevalent that clinics are friendly, towards sexual health. Okay, so first things first, physical health. For those who are starting their sexual journey, I would always recommend doing what we call a baseline test, which means that you take your first test before you engage in any sexual activity. So that gives you your current physical health state, right? And then once you start, you keep getting tests. So you always have something to compare to, okay? And the other rule of thumb that I usually recommend would be to always get yourself and your partner checked before you engage in a sexual relationship, right? We have to accept that the reality of today is there are premarital sexual activities going on, right? People do have more than one relationships. That is the reality of today. So I still say it is very important to look after ourselves that way, right? Let's not talk about whether those practices are right or wrong. Let's talk about how we can keep ourselves safe while engaging in those practices, right? So the physical aspect of sexual health is very important. Emotional aspect of sexual health, I will echo what Winnie has said, which is having a good understanding of yourself and learning to love yourself is very important in sexual health, right? Because it is very easy to get sucked in a way, right? When it comes to sexual activities, your own sexual persona, and when you tend to use sexual aspects as a release, as a form of coping, if you don't have a strong understanding of where you stand, it is very easy for it to sort of get out of control in some ways. It becomes unsafe, right? Sometimes. So having a clear understanding of how you're feeling, learning how to regulate your emotions, coping emotionally when it's overwhelming, is very important to maintain a healthy sexual aspect of your life, right? And mentally, again, it comes back to learning what is safe for you, learning what you like, learning what you don't like, placing boundaries, being confident with your boundaries, right? Um, Saying no is a slogan that is so connected with sexual health, right? And these are just things to remind women and individuals generally that it's all about what you are comfortable doing. And sexual health is something that I think one of the main concepts is respect, right? It is a respectful aspect, one that you show yourself and respect that you show to others as well, right? And when it comes to the social aspect of sexual health, it is to always try your best to maintain a healthy social circle around you that respects your boundaries, that respects your perspectives, right? um, the reason why many women find it difficult to talk about sexual aspects of themselves or discuss their sexuality is because for the fear of being judged, right? For the fear of being stereotyped, because either friends or family do not share the same wavelength as yourself, and that makes it difficult to explore. We are social creatures at the end of the day, right? And women tend to be very in tune emotionally, right, in everything that we do. So and sexual health is something that combines everything that we've been talking about today. It's not just something that you can do on your own, right? You have to be healthy physically, you have to be healthy emotionally, you have to be healthy mentally to be able to have a very healthy sexual health aspect of yourself, right? So how do you maintain your sexual well-being? You have to really look into all the other aspects as well, right? It goes hand in hand. You can't just do it as a standalone way. Although nowadays the common conception is, if I don't have any sexual infections, if I'm okay, it means I'm sexually healthy, right? That does not mean that. What it means is that medically you're healthy because you don't have any infections. But are you sexually healthy or not is a whole different question that you will have to answer. Yep. So that's how I believe that we can maintain our sexual health, by focusing on all these aspects as well.
All right. Thank you for sharing. So I think that in terms of take care of our own sexual health, we need to focus on a few aspects such as the physical aspect, emotional aspects, because like it's very important for every woman's or every partners to do the sexual health check before their marriage. It's very important. So we need to know the physical status of both partners. It's also a way to protect ourselves. So thank you so much for Vishnu sharing. So maybe now we can move on to our Q&A sections. So there are some comments in the Dropbox. So the first is, how do we can cope with the pre-menstrual syndromes in terms of dealing with the mood swings? Maybe this is a question for Wenyi. So maybe Wenyi can answer about this.
Right. Thank you for the question. So I would say one thing about like coping with PMS, the very first thing is definitely to be aware of what the triggers and the patterns of it are like. So keeping like for example a simple thought journal, especially when you are coming to your period time, your menses around that period of time, what you want to do is also kind of keep track of something like that, so that you know what the kind of thought patterns you would tend to have. So when it comes to mood swings, what are certain kinds of triggers that will make you suddenly from happy to super moody, or like from moody to super angry, or from angry suddenly back to happy again? So what are some of the triggers and all these that will contribute to the mood swings? That would be definitely very important. But also at the same time, I would say definitely exercising, but of course watching your own limit as well, because for some people it can be a very suffering process to go through during the whole premenstrual period of time, with all the feelings of lethargic, fatigue, and everything. It can be difficult. So watching out your limits at the time, but a bit of light exercise would be really helpful, and definitely reminding yourself to be eating well. Reducing certain kind of substances. For example, if you take a lot of alcohol, a lot of caffeine, things like that, you also want to watch out on substances, and even like cigarettes and all that. Yeah, so you really want to watch out on that. And I would say definitely a lot more is like to look out for some kind of relaxation methods that can help you, because definitely it's not an easy thing to go through. It can make you feel very stressed, very overwhelmed, very anxious sometimes. So you need to take time for yourself to also relax and help yourself to be able to get into like a more relaxed state as well. So thinking about what kind of things would be helpful, for example, like breathing, meditation, yoga, things like that can be helpful for you to just relax yourself. Yeah, and I would say if more into like the cognitive sector, it would be more about really looking into what are the thought patterns. So you are aware of the triggers that you have, and you know how to manage that triggers well. But yeah, I think like maybe Vishnu can also kind of like add on if you have any ideas. Yeah.
I think, yeah, when you manage to summarize it well, I think part and parcel of understanding your own um, mood swings is to, like I said, emotional awareness, right? So, everybody, most of the time, we will have an idea of how we are, how quickly we are to react to situations. And once you know that, you're able to detect if there's anything different, right? I mean, personally, sometimes I do find myself getting irritated a bit too quickly, right? And it has to happen a few times before I suddenly stop myself and I have to realize, oh, why am I getting irritated so fast? And then I'm like, okay, yeah, now I get it. It's probably the time of the month, because sometimes it just happens, you don't realize it, right? So the journaling, something that is good, because if you do it every day, then you're able to track it. If you don't, then it will take, like for me, I don't. So it will take some time for me to, pick up on that fact that I'm being extra emotional, right? Or I have my partner to remind me. So that's something there as well. I think we all can relate where our partners will bear the brunt of the mood swings usually, right? And one thing that I would suggest also for women is that if you do experience a certain amount of PMS symptoms, go get yourself checked, right? It is very prevalent these days. We have a lot of conditions. We have PCOS, right? Polycystic. We have fibrosis. We have endometriosis. So you have all these conditions that adds to that as well. So for me, I feel you always have to make sure biologically. So physically, medically, you're okay, and then from then you build your baseline, and then you'll be able to recognize what are the contributing factors for my mood swings, right? Is it just the PMS? Is it just environmental, or is there something else going on? So that's my take on that as well.
Right. Thank you for sharing. So maybe we can also focus about the menstrual, about the physical as well, physical exercise. So I have a questions like I'm wondering whether we can do any exercise when we are in period. So maybe Wishi can share us about that.
Okay, like Vishnu say that we have to know our self condition, have to take record, right? So for our client, we also will like take note about their period time when they will start period. So like maybe 1 week before their start period menstrual cycle. So normally they will like energy become lower, or they don't have the strength to do the exercise, or even that like couldn't sleep well. So based on that, we will like reduce the frequency or reduce the intensity of the exercise, like not doing the strength training, maybe reduce the weight of the exercise so they can like afford to do it. Mm. So if let's say their conditions is much more serious, like until cannot wake up from the bed, so we will recommend like for them to take a rest rather than exercise. Mm.
So I think it's very important for us to know our symptom of when we are going through our period, and also like in terms of journaling to track of our moods is also very important to take care of ourselves. So I think like premenstrual syndrome is very common, and like but a lot of people did not aware of it. So it's very important for all of us as a woman to know about the premenstrual syndrome, and also like take the any strategies that we need Vishnu and also we should mention just now to just take care of ourselves. So maybe for next we have another questions is about what are the symptoms of borderline personality disorder? Like yeah, although it's not but this is a question that related to the mental health. Yeah, so maybe Vishnu or when you want to share about this.
I'll let the clinical psychologist take the baton on this.
Yeah.
All right, sure, right. So, according to our DSM-5, which is the diagnostic manual for us, right? So what we usually see in people who are going through BPD, borderline personality disorder, one thing would definitely be about the interpersonal relationships. So having very not stable kind of like interpersonal relationships. So for example, they will have like suddenly they will have a lot of very idealistic, way too idealistic kind of values in relationships, but sometimes they get like very out of touch. So they will just be like, oh, detached immediately, and then like getting attached immediately. So this kind of like very extreme signs of like instability in interpersonal relationships. That's one of like the main things that we tend to usually see. Another thing is like having a lot of preoccupation with ideas of like abandonment. Yep, so very worried about being abandoned. For example, even with friendships or like, you know, when they get into a romantic relationship, they also tend to have a lot of ideas like, are you going to leave me anytime? Or sometimes they might even end up self-sabotaging and be like, you see, I know you will abandon me kind of ideas. Yeah, so that with abandonment is also something that's very prevalent. Impulsive behaviors as well sometimes. So impulsive drinking, impulsive sex, impulsive substance abuse, overspending, even with impulsive kind of like mood swings as well. So like very sudden kind of like mood changes. So a lot of different kind of, for example, anger or like issues with controlling anger with the whole impulse as well. I think also with feelings of emptiness is also something that will tend to be quite common. So feeling very empty, even with, you know, even when they have social relationships, even they have like partners going on, they might still have this very huge feelings of emptiness. And I would say so far, yes, these main ones, and sometimes also having signs of self-harm. Yeah, so having behaviors of self-harm, because it's also related to the whole idea of like, oh, I feel like everyone's going to abandon me, or sometimes because of that impulsive behaviors, that the urge, so then they will end up with having self-harm behaviors as well. So these are the main fear symptoms that we tend to see in people who are having borderline personality disorder. Yeah.
All right. Okay, thank you for sharing. So maybe next we can focus on next questions is how do you cope with the gaining weight? So maybe we should can share about like how we can cope with our gaining weight, because maybe some people will gaining weight before they are when because of they are using eating as a strategy when they are stressed. So is any like strategies that you can share with us to help us to cope with this?
Gaining weight, okay. So like I say just now, if let's say you're gaining weight, most probably there are something wrong with your daily life routine, or your activity level start to drop. Maybe you are busy with your work schedule. So know your current status. Maybe based on that, know your priority first, whether it's work or whether it's your health or your family. So based on that, you have to like maybe you have certain like health issue, you already like obese. So based on that, you have maybe have some health issue already. So you must place the first priority on your health, right? So you just spend about like 30 minutes or 1 hours in your day for exercise. Maybe just for a walk. Start slow first, walking around your taman. Yeah, after that you start to like get used to it. Maybe you can slowly, once you have time, you can spend more like frequent add on like maybe 2 days, increase to 3 days of walking. After that, slowly change. Yes, and then also of course you have to control your diet. So usually you don't have time to prep your own meal, right? You can start like order delivery, like I'm not sure you guys got her or not, like healthy package, like customized meal prep. Yeah, based on your diet, whether you want to gain muscle mass or you want to cut down gaining. So either you want to save time by prep by your save time by order the delivery of this customized meal prep, or you want to save money to do your own meal prep. Mm-mm. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So maybe like it's also like a lot of strategies these that we can use to help us to cope with our gaining weight. Yeah. So thank you for sharing. So maybe next is about yeah. There is one people who ask about like is it safe for us to exercise when we are pregnant? So maybe we should can share it for us about this.
Yeah, sure. Pregnancy also can exercise, but it is also have to depends on the phase. Which phase are you right now? So first phase and the second phase, normally you still can do some light workout, but at the third phase, maybe you have to start to like get to deliver already. So we normally will try to avoid those kind of like flexible stretching, those exercise because will tend to get injury after that. Mm-mm.
All
Yeah.
right. So
Mm.
which means that we need to be aware when we are pregnant. So it's okay for us to exercise in terms of control our body weight. I think a lot of women or mothers they have like concern that after I pregnant I will gain a lot of weight. So it's okay for us to exercise, but we need to be aware of like what kind of exercise we need to do in terms of control our body weight and also protect ourselves and also our baby. So we need to
Yeah.
take off that
Can
like
I add on something?
yeah,
It's
sure.
also very important to have like professional guidance also because I'm not sure
Mm,
whether the pregnant mother like they have the experience to work out or not. Maybe they are just like just want to start to work out. So better to have someone to guide them when they exercise. Mm.
yeah, I also agree with that. Like, it's a proper guidance is very important. If you don't like exercise before this, it's very
Mm.
important you get a proper guidance. Like also because it's very dangerous as well when you are going to take exercise yourself, and you might over exercise as well. Yeah, sometimes right.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you for sharing. So maybe next we will ask about like how frequently should we get a sexual health check. So maybe we can ask Vishnu about this. Yeah.
Okay. How frequently should we get a sexual health check? Again, that entirely depends on how sexually active you are, right? So, I think I mentioned it before. Rule of thumb, if you have not had any sexual activity and you would like to start, get one check first, right? You can do a complete check. Most clinics have packages where they will assess a few different, yeah. It will probably involve some blood tests, maybe some ultrasounds, right? So you can do that first. If you are already sexually active, again, if we are talking about one partner, then you want to get both the partners, so yourself and your potential partner, get checked together, right? Once before getting into the relationship. If it is a monogamous relationship, that means you are both only together with each other and you only engage in sexual activities with each other, then you don't really need to get sexual health checks after that unless there are any symptoms, right? um, which could be either a committed relationship or maybe if you're married, right? So then you wouldn't really have to get checks in between. um, if you do have more than one sexual partner, or if you only have one sexual partner but it's open relationship, right? There are people practicing that lifestyle as well, then 3 to 6 months once, right? When you talk about sexual health checks, we are not only talking about the big ones like HIV or what are the big ones? HIV or syphilis. You want to talk about the others as well. There are so many. You can just Google types of STI, sexually transmitted infections. There are a list of them, right? So you can get checked for most of them, if not all, depending on the clinic that you go to, right? So it's first time before you start any sexual activity, and in between relationships. So if you've ended one relationship and if you are going on to the next relationship, you also get checked, or 3 to 6 months once, right?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for the advice that Vishnu suggests us. I think it's very important for us to get a sexual health check. It's also like a way to protect ourselves as well,
Yes.
and also to know our sexual health status as well. So thank you for sharing. So maybe we can move on to next questions. So what do you think about intermittent fasting? So maybe Winshi can share about this. Yeah.
Okay, I think this is the most popular words like in recently intermediate fasting. If let's say you want to lose weight, you have to do intermediate fasting. If you want to lose weight, you have to do like something else, diet. So like what I say, actually diet is just for a short time. See whether it can adapt to your lifestyle or not. Actually, I recommend intermediate fasting for those people like they're just like morning that they work like night shift, morning they didn't work. So and then maybe you have very busy schedule, you don't have time to eat your breakfast. Maybe you can try intermediate fasting. For those like have a low blood sugar, low blood pressure, or like very high workload. So actually, I won't recommend for them to like intermediate fasting. Actually, will influence their workout performance also and their work performance, like in terms of they couldn't focus, couldn't pay concentration on their work.
Right. Thank you. So like I think intermittent fasting also there are some requirements that we want need to go through before we go to the fasting, because it's not very easier for everyone to go to the fasting. Sometimes it's not even healthy for everyone, right? Yeah. So maybe next we can move on to next question, which is about why depression is more common in women. So maybe Winnie can share us about this. Like, is it a true that depression is more common in women, and why is it so?
Right. Thank you for this question. I think this question is something that is quite frequently asked. I would say I wouldn't say this for sure, because then again, a lot of men actually do experience depression. However, they do not necessarily report or say that they really are going through depression, because of I think like there's this stigma that men, if you are going through some sad period of time, or like depressed periods of time, it's a sign of weakness, or like, seeking for help is a sign of weakness. So that definitely I would say it's also quite prevalent in men, but maybe they do not not sure that they will want to come out and really talk about it. So I would say that is one reason why probably we would see that depression is something more common in women. But definitely, I would say there are also a few reasons to why sometimes this might be the case as well. Like what we have mentioned earlier on. So women have also like the PMS thing going on, perinatal depression going on, and postpartum depression, all these. So definitely these are also risk factors where women are more prone to actually go through depression, experience depression. Another one that I think I also find is that our coping styles. So differences in coping styles for men and women. Based on research, and also I think like from what I tend to hear from my clients as well, men would usually use more problem focused kind of coping methods, but women would tend to use more of emotion focused coping methods. So the difference between problem focus and emotion focus is that problem focus, we are tackling the problem straight away. So for example, if I am stressed and I'm stressed because of my work, and so I think about it. So what is the problem that's making me feel so stressed at work? Okay, so I found out it's because of workload. So maybe I will just be like, oh, okay, I'll talk to my boss about it and say, okay, that's the problem. So I solve the problem, tackle the problem right away. But for me, well, for women, sometimes we tend to go more towards the emotion focused part. Means, okay, I'm feeling stressed, so maybe let me think how to make me not feel so stressed. Maybe I go for facial, I go for spa, things like that. So it's not to say that that is not good, not to say that that's not effective, but rather sometimes in the long term, we would still need the problem focused coping method to come in as well. So emotion focused coping method is good at the point where we feel like we need to process it first. We need to think about what we can do first. Then only we go to look into the problem. So emotion focused coping method will be very helpful in this way. But eventually, in the long run, we will still need more problem focused coping methods to help ourselves to be able to tackle the stresses as well. So I think maybe that is also a thing that actually contributes to that. Plus, I would say a lot of like genetics factors that has been always reported in research as well, which cause, like for example, when we talk about depression, emotions, and all that, our biological, like the structures in our brains, does also play a very vital role in that as well. So, for example, with certain parts like our amygdala, places that are responsible for our emotions and all that, there could be significant differences in men and women sometimes. So that could also be another factor that caused to this statement. Yeah, but I wouldn't say that it's always the case. Yeah, so 50-50 about that. Yeah.
So thank you for sharing. Yeah, I think it's like a lot of people might have a stigma that yeah, women are more tend to have develop the depressions, but sometimes men do as well. But sometimes they might like don't have the maybe not willing, or maybe they are afraid to like to really report this, or maybe seeking the professional help because they might worry about the stigma from the others or the perception from the others, that which means that maybe they are weak or they are not strong enough if they can't cope with the maybe emotional problems. But I think it's very important for all of us to know that no matter you are a man or a woman, to know that you need to seek a professional help when you are in need. So it's not a shame that you have a depression. It's like because you are sick, so that's why you need a professional help, like for example like counselor and also a clinical psychologist to help you to deal with it. Yeah, it's like when you are in fever, you need also, definitely need to seek help from the doctor as well. So it's not a shame about that. So we all of us need to know that it's okay for you to seek from help. So maybe we can move on to our last questions, which is how do we help a friend with sexual health trauma? So maybe Vishnu can share with us about this.
That's a big topic.
Yeah.
Okay, sexual health trauma is quite specific already. Yeah. So then we're talking about someone who had undergone a unsafe situation. That's usually what sexual health trauma can mean. Apart from that, the other smaller aspect would be sexual health trauma can also be from a traumatic experience, maybe not due to um, a violent situation, right? It could also be something else, right? For example, if you want to talk about traumatic sexual health experience, if you want to talk about the main one that everybody knows, we're talking about things like assault, we're talking about a non-consensual sexual activity and things like that. Okay, you want to talk about the other part, it's usually maybe health related, right? Sometimes postpartum depression can contribute to trauma, right? When it comes to sexual health, certain psychological conditions, MDD, right? Depression, or if you've undergone some major health condition, cancer, surgery, things like that. So even those type of conditions can also sort of induce a traumatic experience, right? Or for the matter, if you have had any sort of sexual experiences that were consensual but maybe didn't work right. Maybe you experienced quite a lot of pain, right? Or it did not go the way you wanted it to go, the way you thought it would go, right? So all those would contribute to having trauma. How do you help a friend? First and foremost, to see if you are qualified to help the friend, right? Because again, trauma, not only in sexual health but any sort of traumatic experience and the issues that comes from it, I definitely believe will need to be handled by expert professionals, right? As a friend, what you can do is to be supportive, right? Be supportive. Don't be dismissive towards your friends traumatic experience. Sometimes it's easy to joke and laugh about the smaller things. I'm talking about smaller incidents, right? When you talk about the more serious traumatic experiences, you want to look at getting your friend the help that she would need, right? I'm specifying she because of today's topic. If you want to be general, even males go through sexual health trauma as well, right? So get your friend the help that she needs, be supportive, right? I think the best way is to always be encouraging. Again, in the area of sexual health trauma, very few people come out and say, I have this, help me, right? We tend to suffer in silence. So that is something that if you have a friend who is going through that situation, you can be that what do you call, you can be that push, right, that your friend needs to be able to come out and ask for that help, right? So help with resources, help with emotional support. Sometimes just being there, being able to say, I still love you despite what you have gone through. I am here for you. When you're ready, let me know how I can help. You see, these kind of sentiments is something that you can do. What I would discourage is that for you to professionally try some techniques if you're not qualified, right? Always seek for the best support, whether it's a medical professional or a psychological professional, right? A legal professional, go find a professional. Right? That's the first thing that you can do. Yeah. Second, be supportive.
Right. Thank you for sharing. So I think it's like maybe some of them in this world are going through the sexual health trauma, and they are maybe like afraid of like maybe they don't know where to seek help. So like professional help is definitely a professional ways to help us to cope with the drama. Also maybe sometime when you are really afraid of that, maybe you can try to get the support from your friends or your family as well. Maybe they can bring you, or maybe they can accompany you to help to seek professional help from the professionals as well. So it's very important for us to take care of our sexual health, and we have problems we need to seek help from the others. Maybe professionally, also unprofessionally, will be like through the support from the others, but make sure that you are getting a good support and also a legal support as well lah. Yeah. So thank you so much for everyone who are joining today. Is going to come into our end of our discussions today. So I'm very thank you very much for the active participants of the audience who who ask the questions in the chat box as well. And also I want to say thank you to all of our speakers today, Rishi, Wani, and also Vishnu, to share about like very interesting and also informative information with us about women's health and fitness. So maybe the rest of the questions we might can answer in our IG, the Innerlink IG, hashtag the Innerlink, will be answered by our mental health professionals from the Innerlink as well. So please stay tuned on our IG as well. And thank you so much for everyone who is joining today.
Okay.
Thank
Thank you very
you.
much for having us, Cindy. And wish everyone a great weekend.
Okay, bye.
Bye
Bye.
bye. Have a nice day.